Speaking of tough but stupid, the Republican implosion seems to continue. We now have the Donald Trump attacking Megyn Kelly from Fox News, and he has surged to the lead dramatically in the polls. Jeb Bush is now fighting him back. Walker says, he's the governor of Wisconsin, you need to cancel the state visit by Xi Jinping as leverage to show that the U.S. has backbone. So no state visit for you. I mean, it's just one crazy idea after another.
And Megyn Kelly's the one that he sort of accused of having a kind of premenstrual thing, didn't he?
Yeah, he's such a classy guy, the Donald.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, you actually wonder what he's going to come out with next, don't you?
I mean, I wonder what he's got to say to make it all explode. I mean, at this point, I mean, there's so long to go that you do still have this sort of feeling that it is all going to implode. But I don't know how much more insane he can
The
get.
thing he says, it only increases his lead. Well, that's the amazing thing. He's way, way out in front.
Way out in front in every state that matters, at least the first three states. I've read a number of pieces. One of them said that both Cruz from Texas and Rick Perry, the governor, can really trace their death in the polls to Donald Trump's popularity and success. Yesterday, he got into a fight, actually the day before yesterday now, with Jorge Ramos from
Yes.
Univision. Now, Jorge Ramos is, who's your most respected anchor for the BBC? The
Dimbleby, maybe?
Yes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Dimbleby. Okay, he's the Dimbleby of Univision. Okay, he is such an icon, and he has been absolutely incensed by the comments that were made about immigration and Mexico is sending us their worst, the rapists, the criminals, etc. That he has been trying to get an interview one-on-one with him, and he's refused. So apparently the reporters knew when they saw him in the room that there were going to be fireworks. He stood up, was not recognized, and just started asking him questions. Trump had him removed. His security people
Yeah,
took him
security
out.
guard took him out, didn't he?
Well, then he came back. He came back
Good for
towards
him.
the end,
Good for
and
him.
he started to ask questions, and Trump just shouted him down, shouted him down, shouted him down, and you can just see the right-wing media going,
Those things are so... I can't stand those things. They're so stage managed.
Well, the thing is that the sort of the way that the interaction between politicians and journalists take place these days is really problematic. So, that there is this sort of sense of the whether it's the president or whoever can pick and choose who is in the room, and if you ask the wrong question or you say the wrong thing, then you're excluded from the inner circle. So when you have that kind of relationship, really, the media simply becomes a mouthpiece.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I remember when I was in a press conference with the UK Home Secretary, and I was asking questions that were off script or something, and the press, this is about 20 years, 25 years ago, and the press officer who was managing it all was not, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't ask that." Don't ask those sort of questions. The great thing about what I do now is, well, there are two things. I never go to press conferences, and I never talk to press officers. Well, hardly ever, because they're so stage managed. You don't get the truth from these things. You don't get the truth from press conferences and things like that Trump thing and press officers. They are there to spout a certain line.
But the question that I always has been percolating in my head for a while, is that what makes Trump, and to a similar extent Bernie Sanders without the vitriol, so successful? Is that they're not seen as being poll tested, blow dried, stage managed?
Well, I mean, for my money, I think we're conflating two things there. I mean,
Could very well be.
okay, Bernie Sanders and Trump are the kind of anti-establishment
But there's a
people.
genuineness to them.
Well,
that
yeah,
comes
yeah,
across.
yeah. I mean, that
whether
does
you
come
whether you
across.
personally
Yeah.
agree or not.
I know, I agree with that. But I mean, the press conferences thing and Ramos trying to ask this question, which wasn't one he wanted to answer and wasn't on the script, But you couldn't get an interview with him any other way. You couldn't ask questions.
They are both doing a similar thing in terms of attacking the establishment mainstream way of doing politics. Oh, I mean, admittedly, from completely different angles. I mean, obviously, Bernie Sanders is saying, this is what I would do because the political system is broken, and Donald Trump is saying they're all idiots. You know what I mean? I mean, it was great in the debate where he got asked, what would you do about Obamacare, and Trump said, I'd repeal Obamacare and replace it with something fantastic. You know what I mean? That's the extent to the detail that you get from Donald Trump. But it is.
But that's no different than the detail you get from anybody else.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But
repeal and replace, they've been saying now for 3 years, 4 years. Repeal and replace, repeal with what?
Something fantastic.
Something fantastic.
No, but he's got this kind of media kudos, this media presence where it's become a spectacle, a kind of sideshow that people are entertained by. And it's like, I can't remember what article I was reading, but they compared it to reality television. I mean, he is a reality TV star. And what happens in reality television is you keep the villain in as long as you can because they are the most entertaining one.
Yep, Katie Hopkins being a great example of that.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
For those in America who don't know who she is, you don't want to know who she is. She was on the UK Apprentice and was just a disaster.
Yeah,
but here's a crazy idea, though, is that we are going to find ourselves in a situation in the Republicans where perhaps nobody has an advantage going into the convention. It'll be the first time since 1976 when Reagan attempted to fight Gerald Ford to go up against, Carter, but only now you've got at least 10 characters. It's going to be an absolute clusterfuck right down to the very end. And the one story I heard last week, could Mitt Romney emerge from this bunch in a brokered convention?
He'll come through the middle
as the sane candidate for the Republicans. I mean, he'd end up losing because the Donald would run.
Mr. 47%.
Yeah. But I still love your idea, Dario, of getting Jon Stewart to chair a Republican debate. That was a great petition out there.
Yeah. It's good fun.
Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, no, I just came across it. There was a petition online to get Jon Stewart to chair one of the debates, and it will never ever happen in a million years. But I could just see the sort of the fear and terror in the eyes of the Republican candidates when he actually sort of just calls out all the lunacy that their answers, or even maybe just follows up, on the stupidity of the answers that they give,